What's up, men? Welcome to the Male Cartel podcast. Let's get started.
Do you think men are important? Like for what?
Men are not meant to be dominant. Men are meant to be submissive.
Life's too short to exercise. I'm just going to be honest.
It's okay to be fat.
Dispelling toxic masculinity and really redefining what it means to be a man. Men can cry. So it's okay to be weak. It's okay to be weak.
I'm telling you right now, not everybody wants to see you win.
You seem to be more woman than you are man. You don't have any manly qualities.
You give them this message that it's okay to be a man.
It's not okay, it's necessary. How are we going to do without men? You look around the city here, you see all these buildings go up, these men, they're doing impossible things.
It ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
Be a dangerous man. Being dangerous is not being a threat. They're two different things. You can't be a good man if you're not a dangerous man. You say one disrespectful thing to my wife, I am not only willing, but I'm able to inflict great bodily damage.
I'm going to do everything in my power to become a victor and not a victim. I can't explain it, but you better feel me. Winners win and losers lose. I can't explain it any better than that. I don't know how it happens, but winners win. And if you create a culture of losing, if you keep being a victim, if you keep letting losing happen to you, if you keep letting people do you and treat you any kind of way, it's going to become a culture. What's the matter with you? There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow.
Here's your host, Nick and Shane.
Yeah, we back. Number 5-1.
Episode 51.
51, man. This gonna be a good episode.
Yeah, I think what we're going to talk about today, a lot of stuff in life hinges on it. So I think it's going to be a good conversation.
Yeah, it's been a conversation I've had for several weeks now with different people. So it's funny when you sent stuff to me, we were talking through it. It's just perfect. But man, I hadn't seen your face in a minute, bro. I know
we were supposed to record last week, and then had to cancel. And yeah,
man,
it's been
you busy,
a while.
bro. What's it? Tell us the life of a celebrity right now.
I ain't a celebrity. I'm a firefighter right now, putting fires out, trying to solve issues. It's busy. I told Brian, one of our pastors, which y'all, we interviewed him, and so people should be familiar with him unless they're new. This is probably been the busiest first part of a year to kick off a year that I've ever had that I can remember. Mm-hmm. And the busier you are, the quicker it gets. I can't believe it's already March. We're recording this on March 18th. So yesterday was St. Patrick's Day. I can't believe we're that far into the year.
Yeah, it's crazy. We're the same boat. It's just been nonstop, all gas, no brakes, and just need a little bit of reprieve. And I'm working spring break, so won't get the reprieve. And so in my head, that's kind of how I always work too.
Yeah.
And like I work to something where I know I could take a break and be able to unwind. And so just kind of helps you get through the grind. And so I don't see no end in sight literally until mid-April. Yep. And so I'm chomping at the bit to get there and then to somewhat find a little bit of reprieve. And then summertime hits and it's like 100 miles an hour.
We'll say that till we're dead. And
that's right. That's exactly
we finally get our reprieve. I was up here 8 hours Saturday. It's just like there's just always something to do. So
how do you feel though about there's some people that are in your boat type of thing who are like pastors who are who are lazy, like they wouldn't be up here serving the church or anything like that, and like what do you think? Like, you know what I'm saying? There's people that they just do bare minimum, man, and they just kind of. But all right. I mean, I'm just gonna say this real quick, and then I'll turn it to Nick.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. If you don't know Nick is all in. Nick is all in type of guy. And what he does is...
Sorry for those watching on video. I just cut right in front of you.
Cut right in front of you. It's fine. You can do it again.
It's still not working.
It's still not working. It's fine. So we're having a little technical difficulties right now. I'm going to keep talking while he's He's hitting the button and stuff and all that. All right, it's working now. But what I'm trying to say is Nick is he's all in, man. He's willing to do whatever it needs to do to get the job done. And so he's not like there's some that we all know in your job of employment or people that you know in our world that's being pastors working in the church leadership role. But there's people that just do the bare minimum and get by and just defer, or they don't claim responsibility first, if anything. And so, but Nick is not like that. Nick is all in, putting light bulbs up. He's plunging toilets. He's busting up pipes. He's landscaping, manscaping. He's doing it all. And so what? How do you feel? How would you sum up somebody who's the opposite of you?
It gets very frustrating as a man, but at the same time, I have to remember not everybody's me. Yeah, I'm gonna have more skin in the game.
They're not from Krypton, bro.
Yeah, I mean, all I can do is challenge men and encourage them. That's why we have this podcast. But at the same time, I have to remember I am me. I make the choices. Now, that doesn't mean I don't ask other people to help. The problem is when you have limited help, there's still stuff to be done, or there's things during the week because I'm full-time at the church that I'm just going to jump in and do. And there's times men are like, well, why didn't you ask me? And some of this actually has to do with even what we talk about today.
That's why I kind of brought it all up.
Right. You know, guys that'll say, you know, oh, I'll get this done for you this week, or I'll take care of it, and then it never happens.
Yep.
But the other side is if I have to wait on guys who are providing for their families and having to work full time, that means now I have to wait hours, days when their schedule works. You know, people will say on the back end, you should have asked me. Well, there have been times I've asked, and it could be weeks before somebody can get to it, and I'm full time. It may mean I have to work extra, but it gets done versus having to wait.
That's right.
You know, there are things even right now that we have waited to be completed because people are doing it in their time. I actually learned that lesson. You learn that lesson by being involved in it as a pastor, but the other lesson, it didn't dawn on me until they told us this when we were having our roof repaired and stuff like that in 2019. The general contractor said they'll work with, you know, a lot of churches oftentimes will have people internally that know how to do things and could possibly save them money. You know, well, we've got this contractor, so they're going to volunteer their time. They said the only thing that you must be aware of with that is if you use your people, then you cannot get upset with us if we miss the deadline on when things are supposed to be done. Because if they're using their general contractors who they're paying, then they can be there on Monday from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Tuesday and Wednesday, and they can knock it out in a couple weeks. If you're waiting on your guys who are working full time and having to get off, and well, they're not available Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, but they can come in for a couple hours on Thursday, then that, of course, is going to delay the project and slow things down. So that's what I have found trying to pastor and manage a church is grateful for volunteers by all means. You know, you use God builds the family and gives you certain skills and things like that. But there's times that you just have to do things on your own.
Yep.
You know, and then that just means more time. And now that we are Hope Church, there's a lot we do with Hope Church outside of, you know, Augusta. Yep. So I'm on the road a lot.
On the road again?
So my Tundra I bought, when did we get our Tundras? Last July?
2 years ago?
2 years ago. Two Julys ago.
2 Julys
So
ago.
about a year and a half ago, I guess. Not quite 2 years ago. This July will be 2 years.
That's right.
So not quite 2 years. In the first year, I put over 40,000 miles on it. I bought it with 159,000 miles, 159,700 miles on it. 2010 Tundra. It has 214,000 miles on it now.
Wow.
Almost 70,000 I've put on it.
Listen, you need to just probably get you a little car. You probably just need to keep a truck and have a sidecar that's like a little Honda Civic.
I've thought about it.
You probably would save a lot of money, like honestly.
In gas, yeah.
Yeah. And then have your truck, truck. If you could afford it, I'm sure.
The problem is when I travel long, you can ask Nikki, I hate taking her car. I want something comfortable, you know, not like
that's right.
little Honda Civic.
Little
you know.
kart. Yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
So you sometimes you have to pay for comfort.
That's right. But listen, Tundras, they'll run. They'll run till, like, more of the reports you look at, you're like, man, it's not worth buying another vehicle if you can just keep yours. And it just seems more practical. I'm going to look at a vehicle this Thursday, and the only reason I'm doing it, honestly, is I'm just looking from the 4-year plan. That's all I'm looking at. I'm not looking at long term, looking at 4 years. For my son, he'll be 16. My daughter, she'll be 16 less than a year. So that's a different ball game. But right now, promise you, by the end of the summer, we have a huge problem in my vehicle. There's no way that we can fit my children, my wife in my vehicle because my daughter's so tall, my back seat's so small, and my double cab Tundra. There's no way. I've outgrown it, and when my daughter's in it, my son's in it, knees are in the back of my shoulder, sitting in the middle, because one has to sit in the middle. So it's either that, to make it comfortable, my wife has to sit in the back seat.
Yeah.
And I love my children, but with my wife in the front seat. So we got to think through it. So
it's amazing though how Tundra, like, they didn't do anything in between. Their double cab or whatever is short.
That's right.
And then they went crew cab, which is like one of the largest back seats in the truck that in that level of truck. And there's no in between. They could have went just a little bit bigger on that double cab.
That's why I was like, hey, whatever I get next, I'll give it to my son. He'll buy it for me or whatever, and if that's what he would like, and if he chooses not to, then my other son, who's 1 year and who's 15 months younger than him, will get that. So then when he's 16, they'll only be 15, learn how to drive. So we'll just do the switcheroo. So to me, it's like I'm just going to look at it from a 5-year plan and make sure it has good bones and great and big enough back seat for the next 4 years and good condition to hand down. So, all right, man, you want to jump into this thing? Because that was a good lead-in. I think it was like an undercover special ops lead-in to what we're going to talk about today.
Absolutely. And really the crux of what we're talking about is honor.
That's
and
right.
so we have this audio clip, and lady shares a little bit kind of a difference between women and men, and we're just going to kind of play that, discuss it. We actually have another clip from her, and we'll link this in the show notes in just a little bit as we get to kind of that topic. But listen to what she has to say, and then we'll be right back to discuss it.
Men don't know that women don't know how protective you are. We think you'll protect us if you like us. We think you'll protect us if you're attracted to me. Now, we think you'll protect us if you're not mad at us.
Yeah.
We think if you're mad at us, you'll just be like, oh, there's a tiger. You want mustard with her? Take her. We really do. But also what men don't know that women don't know is we don't know what honor is to a man. To a man, honor is doing the right thing no matter what you feel. No matter how you feel, you do the right thing.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on that, Nick?
There's so much that I feel like builds from honor, or is at the bottom of honor, at the root of honor. And, I love what she talks about there. Honor is, at a basic definition, that a man does what is right, regardless of how he feels or what he thinks. And she, of course, uses the illustration of a wife or a girl for a significant other. Like if they're out, the female is thinking, if a tiger were to come along or, some man were to try to mug her, because the relationship is tense at that moment, the man would be like, oh, just take her, because that's how they feel. Yet they don't understand that a man's honor, and I have to say this kind of, I guess, generally, because not everybody, I've seen clips where this is not true, but where a man in his honor will still defend the woman that he loves, will still protect her. Like these secondary kind of shallow disagreements aren't going to stand in the way of an honorable man doing what he's supposed to do. Now, I've seen a couple of reels out there where a woman's like being mugged, and I probably sent it to you.
Yeah.
They're outside of a shop, and the man literally, her boyfriend or husband, whatever it is, literally runs over and is hiding behind like a column while she's having to try to get away from this guy trying to mug her. Now, that's not because they're arguing or anything. It just, that man doesn't have, he's a, weakling. He is not an honorable man. He is afraid himself, but he'd rather hide than help his girlfriend or wife or whatever. And then I saw another one. It was more of a humorous clip, but at the same time, it was like a road rage deal. And this guy was huge. I mean, he was like 6'7". It was like a Asian couple, and then she's more of the on the attack, and the boyfriend's all kind of very fragile, and then he finally kind of steps in after she gets knocked to the ground, and the dude like punches him. And it switches to a guy who I guess put the reel together, and he's like, "You're getting divorced." And it was kind of funny, but at the same time, is like those aren't the same situations she's talking about, but it has to be in you. And I think that's at the root of honor. Honor is living by a personal code, a personal kind of virtue that you have regardless of feelings, circumstances, situation. So I think at the very basis, I think she is right. She is true. And I think she points out the difference of women don't understand that and don't know that. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree, man. I think that there's a sense of code that you have. Everybody kind of has this code. And obviously, as believers, Nick and I, our foundation is obviously the Bible, and so that's non-negotiable. But like when it comes to this type of stuff, we think like we have a code as a man, and then up from the code, one of our pillars that holds everything together is honor. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so. For sure. I totally agree. I actually, there's a quote. I'd love to read it. It's a great quote. And I saw this on, I might read two of them real quick. One says, "It's not titles that honor men, but men that honor titles." And that was on a Pinterest deal. But C.S. Lewis, as many people know, he says, "We make men without chests and expect them virtue and enterprise. We laugh at honor and are shocked to find traitors in our midst. We castrate and bid the gildings be fruitful." And so it just talks about like, oftentimes we make men out to be a certain way that they're not. And the truth of the matter is that we must be honorable. We must be bound by duty. We must be this if we're going to be a man. And I remember seeing a video very much like the video you just mentioned, where there was a woman went to a vehicle and was banging on the vehicle, and it was the same thing. She was leading her husband, I guess it was husband or boyfriend, come up to the vehicle too and was like trying to bow up too. And then the dude, and it was like road rage, and you saw it like happen. The dude gets out, and the dude's probably 6'8", about 350. And that other guy looked so tiny. And immediately he was like, "Hey, I'm cool. And he was backing up, and you're like, "Hold up, bro. No. Hey, that's not, I mean, like you're saying, like the wife was doing this, or the female was doing it first, but you're like, somebody was wrong, and probably both parties was wrong."
Is that the one where he starts correcting the wife? Like he turns.
This one was like
similar.
I've seen so many of those, but like, and in this situation, what I'm thinking in my head is like the dude is just like in my head, I'm thinking this is not the most honorable thing.
Yeah,
this is not the most honorable thing to do, and it's like the most respectful thing to do. It is not the man thing to do. A man doesn't do what was happening. It was really instigated by the female. You could tell when he was puppy dog following it, until he saw somebody 3 times his size, and then he was cool. And you're like, bro, that's nothing, man. That's like going out to battlefield and to square up on somebody that somebody like instigated a fight, and then finally you get there and you're like, nah, bro, I'm cool. But you did all this festering,
right?
You know?
Did she in that video? Did she provoke the fight?
Oh yeah, she went to the car.
So I would say the honor there is if she was in the wrong,
he should have gone to.
He should have been like, "Hey, you're wrong." That's honor because you want to do what's right regardless of the outcome. That's where I think a lot of guys lack honor, is even if their wife is wrong, they're just, they'll start mouthing off at the guy or whatever versus saying, hey, you're wrong.
That's right.
Settle down. We'll talk about this later. Get in the car, drive, whatever. I think that is the lack of honor.
That's right.
But then if you step up to a guy and start running your mouth and you see he's bigger, then, that's a whole other story.
Well, yeah, you got a choice to make.
Got to back up your words.
Yeah. Hey, don't walk out in the middle of the square, man, with your 6-shooters on your side. We'll square up, and then you go, I don't know, man. Especially if you provoked it, or in that case, it's a little bit different. Yeah, it's missing today's climate. I met with a gentleman not too long ago, and our conversation was basically on that. Was just about doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And doing the right thing, especially when the wrong thing is screaming at you, and being a man. That's that's one way one thing that will separate a man from a boy really quick.
Yeah.
Is it when the wrong thing is screaming at you, will you do the wrong thing? Will you do it because the wrong thing is the easy thing, or you stand firm and do the right thing?
Yeah.
In today's climate, culturally, we give permission. Because like, hey man, you've gone through some trauma. Nick, you're a good guy. You got a good heart. I mean, you're gonna find all these different loopholes so that you don't have to do. But I would say what separates is honor. Just,
Well, there's so many different definitions. So I want guys to, like, we kind of started with the simple definition is basically doing the right thing regardless of how you feel. And that's what the lady was speaking about.
Yep.
One of the definitions is a high moral standard of behavior. So I think the question I would have for those listening is, what is it that is driving your behaviors? What is that moral code that you have? Of course, for us, we want it to be based in the gospel. We want it to be based in the truth of God's word, not some moralism just for the sake of moralism, but we want to live in a way that honors truth and scripture, and of course, ultimately God. And so that's what we really have to do a self-examination on, and I think we need to be real honest, because where we lack honor is where we say things that we then do not live out.
Mm-hmm.
As a pastor, I talk to a lot of people. I deal with a lot of conflicts. I will have men, sometimes I'll have couples who will come in and they'll start complaining about another person or their spouse or some friend they've had a falling out with. And so they'll start in on, well, they did this, and that, as they start attacking their character or their moral behavior or lack thereof. But then later, as you start spending more time with that individual, you'll find oftentimes they lack some of those same characteristics, some of those same behaviors, but they're complaining about the other guy. And I've often heard that the thing that bothers us the most sometimes is the things that we're weak in as well.
Sure.
And so I think, another word for this is integrity, essentially, but that is a lack of honor in and of itself. If you're going to complain about someone else, but then go and do the very same thing, that is lacking honor. So I think what I would encourage guys to do as we are having this discussion is to really think about, what is it that drives me? So for instance, like with those men we talked about on the other reels, whether they're funny or serious, what would drive a man to step in front of a guy that's 6'8", 285 pounds, very muscular, knowing that this dude is much stronger, much bigger. I'm 5'9.5". I'm not very big, but what would cause me to put myself between my wife and that kind of dude? Like, it doesn't just happen.
Yeah.
We can talk about it, but how many guys will be put in that situation and then kind of run off?
Uh-huh.
So what is it that causes someone to find a wallet full of money and make sure it gets back to the owner versus going, skimming some money off, or there's no cameras around. What is it that causes us to do those things? Or we make a promise, hey, I'll do this week.
Mm-hmm.
And we do it, whether it's raining, cold, late, inconvenience, uncomfortable. Right. What is it? So what are your thoughts on that as far as what drives a man's honor? What do men need to do to really develop that character? Like,
well, you hit the nail on the head when you said they got to do a self-evaluation. I think that, like, obviously you need to know what you, I think you just have to know what you lack as a person. I think you mentioned too, like, integrity. I think you got to have that. I think you got to have, you got to, I mean, this may sound kind of weird even saying it, but I think sometimes you got to start exercising those things out, because what those if you exercise the small stuff, you get stronger over time. And I think sometimes, like, we're not putting ourselves in a predicament sometimes, or in a situation to where we can be honorable, because oftentimes men, I'll say this, I mean, they'll emotionally detach from situations and choose to flee a little bit versus to build a little bit of moxie and strength and tension, and get stronger, so that when you are face to face with a bigger issue, it's not because maybe your honor was your tank wasn't full, you weren't strong enough. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I'm finding that more so now than ever, even that situation, because we're having, generationally speaking, like, a lot of dads that were absent in their son's life. So the son grows up to be a man, and they had nobody to really, like, person in front of them. They just had buddies to tell them what's right and wrong. They had nobody to model that, which we know that in the framework of the home, modeling is the most important thing. And so I think that so if you find yourself in that situation, you really got to, like, start practicing even in the small stuff, and stop running away from hard things, and then along with that, I mean, there's a lot of different components. Like, if I was sketching this out, I probably would have, like, here's 6 things that probably would contribute to having honor, like, could help you or benefit, probably be the better word, benefit, because everybody's different. But I think you really have to not run away from obstacles or situations, and stop being emotionally detached and that type of thing. I think just be very diligent in the small things, and win those small battles, and then you build up a lot of strength. It's kind of like that little. I saw this game. It was on the iPad. My son. It's like an ad, and we have ad blockers, but they were playing this game, 2-player game, I guess you could say. It's like an app deal. And my son and I were playing these 2-player games on the iPad to stall time. This is like about a year or so ago. I guess it was like during the treatment. And so before treatment. And we were playing it. And then afterwards, there's a show ad, like 45-second ad. And it was like, you defeat this group of people, and then you get their kingdom. And then they're marching around, and you have, like, your little army of guys went to a bigger army.
Yeah.
And the more you conquer, the more you get bigger armies. It's kind of like that when it comes to, like, when you win those small battles, and you just keep persevering, and just don't get emotionally detached.
Yeah.
And so, but you really got to soul search, in my opinion, and think about, like, your life, because everybody comes from different backgrounds, and what's lacking. But yeah, usually it's there's a lot to say, like, what would separate, like, if there was, like you mentioned, the big guy, say, between you know, that you have to stand between the big guy and Nikki, your wife, and, like, what would make you do that?
Yeah.
You know, and it's your duty. You're bound by it. You're like, this is what I'm in, and I don't care if it costs me my life, you know. But when you said that, I knew automatically, like, there's several men I could think of right now who they would never do that, bro. They would just, they'll let somebody talk to their wife a certain way, they'll do a certain way, and they don't care at all, and they will justify it. But they just usually emotionally detached, and they usually run away from all that.
Well, and that at the root, that they value then self-preservation
over
versus protection of the vulnerable.
That's right.
And I would say, just because we're kind of on this theme of protecting our wives and against the bigger man. I told Nikki this the other day because I was watching a clip where a guy took on like 9 guys, and like until the police got there, he was holding his own.
I think I saw that video.
But his wife or girlfriend, whatever, was pregnant, and she got knocked down a couple times because she wasn't trying to fight, but she was trying to stop and everything. And I told Nikki then, I said, if I were to ever have to defend you, do not ever
pull somebody off of me
or try to stop me. So many guys have gotten hurt because their wife is grabbing their arms. They can't defend themselves or her because she's trying to pull them back and stop. When there's a threat and it's on, like you need to get inside and get help or go to safety. That's why he's standing between you and 9 people.
Well, I saw that video where it was like they're at a stadium at the football game, and then the dude was like he destroyed like 2 dudes. Boom, boom, boom. His wife grabs his arm and turned his head, and that nigga got clocked.
Done.
He was winning the whole way until his wife pulled his arm, and then he got clocked.
So the ladies who listen, do not ever
leave your husband alone.
Leave him alone. Let him pay the consequences or whatever. Because if once he's engaged, you only set him up to injure him.
Let him take the tab. He gets the tab.
He is doing that so you can get to safety.
That's
so
right.
you get in the car, you get into the business or whatever, and he's made that choice on his own. And you would much rather him make that choice than him step back and let you,
That's right.
Get pummeled. But I do want to say real quick on what you were talking about, because I think that is key. We do not exercise honor. We don't put it into practice until there is difficulty and controversy. I tell people this all the time about Christianity. We don't live out faith until there is something in front of us that makes us have to rely on faith. That is the Christian life. We want the prosperity and we want all the good stuff, and we shrink back and we avoid conflict, we avoid difficulty, we avoid discomfort. That is when honor is proved out. So I love what you were saying there. Like, you have to not shrink back and isolate.
That's right.
And that's uncomfortable. I'm too tired, whatever. Yeah, if you made a promise, then a man of integrity and a man of honor is going to fulfill that promise, even if he's tired.
Even if it's 3
a.m.
That's right.
I said this week I was going to get this done, so I've got to get it done. I said I was going to show up for this. I said I would cover this expense, whatever. So, I think what I would love for us to do is continue this on next week, episode 52, because I think there's more for us to cover and to talk about. But guys, as we work to close out this episode with our normal, spiel at the end, personally, and Shane may have one final thing to say, I would encourage you to take some time this week between episodes and really do an examination of what are my values, what are my virtues, what are the principles that I live by. Is it to be an honest man? Is it who are you? Because that is what honor is going to be birthed out of, and that's what's going to come to fruition when the hard times come. Mm-hmm. That's what people are going to look at and go, that's who Shane is. Even when it's difficult, even when it's hard, that's who Shane is. That's who Nick is. Any final thoughts on that?
Yeah, man. I say do that, do an inventory, and I think you come up with your top 7 max, I would say 4 to 7, and write those jokers down. Look at it, mull over it. Just don't do it just once, but get you something to eat during lunch, and then sketch it out, and then and you'll be better served by knowing this. If you say, "Well, Shane, Nick, I already know that." Well, if you know it, just write it down.
Yeah,
it's not a problem. And then on our next episode, we'll flesh more things out, and hopefully you'll be able to look at that list and we'll be able to talk through it. So
yeah, and when we say at the end of every episode, get 1% better, maybe you do write out 4 or 5 things, but maybe focus on one.
That's right.
Take a week or two and just be like, how can I develop this character trait in my life and work on that and get 1% better in that way, and then work on something else, work on another trait.
Or you can do that. You can even, I just thought about this, Nick, you can give yourself a grade.
Yep.
In this season of life as a man, where is it? So you give yourself, because seasons are seasons, and maybe you look at it and go, man, I'm a C in this. I'm killing it with an A with this, but I'm really, because sometimes we can get so focused on one thing and we forget about something else.
Yeah.
So, but that's our encouragement to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, we're so grateful for you tuning in, but also for you sharing all of the episodes. We have met guys over the last several weeks that are new listeners telling us they're sharing it. So we're so thankful for that. If this episode or any episode has been beneficial to you, we would love for you to continue to share that, like it, leave a review. That helps us as well. How the algorithm and all works, go and rate it, whether it be on Apple, on iTunes podcast, or Spotify. And I know on the Apple, you can leave kind of a comment with your review, and that helps others. It boosts it for others to find. And so we would be extremely grateful for you to do that for us.
Yeah, man. Yep. Well, like we always say, get 1% better. We'll see you next time.
Absolutely. See you next time.
Thank you for joining the Male Cartel podcast. Be sure to subscribe and share to help other men join the cartel. You can also keep up with us on social media and at malecartel.com.